presented in prayer.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair and members of the committee. My name is Paul Lhevine, and I'm the Executive Director of Stand for Children Colorado. I'm here on behalf of our staff, our 600 members in Colorado, to ask you to vote in favor of this bill. Many of you know Stand for our lobbying efforts during the legislative session, but the other 80% of our work happens in schools across the Denver metro area, where we organize parents, teachers, and community members around the issues just like this. We have an active team of educator members. In fact, they represent 25% of our total membership. Last month, that team got the chance to meet with 4 of the bill sponsors and share their thoughts on the need for better support and intervention for struggling readers. The educators were so excited about this bill because it would provide them with a resource bank of strategies proven to get kids reading on track and increase parents' involvement. In fact, I have 6 letters here from teachers who cannot be here today, but want you to know that this bill has their support. One educator, Hillary, has a story that resonated with me. She teaches 3rd grade here in Denver, and her class this year actually has more students who read below grade level than those who read at or above. These students act out, exhibit signs of depression, and make it much harder for her to do her job. When I heard Hillary's story, I couldn't believe that we as a community had let this happen. Somehow the majority of her students came to her classroom after slipping through the cracks for years without receiving the early identification and intervention they so desperately need. I can't imagine how much extra work Hillary has to do to help her students get up to grade level. As a father with 1 child about to enter kindergarten, I can relate to how much work needs to go into teaching a child to read. I know that even with the incredible efforts of Hillary and teachers like her, their task is uphill if the children never get the help they need in the early grades. House Bill 1238 offers the chance to give Hillary and the thousands of educators like her a classroom full of students who can read. And imagine the impact of that. Research clearly shows that students who cannot read proficiently by the end of 3rd grade are 4 to 6 times more likely to drop out of high school. By passing this bill, you have the opportunity to change the lives of 17,000 students each year, the equivalent of filling the seats in the Pepsi Center. This law will build on the good intentions of the Colorado Basic Literacy Act to give educators the tools to intervene at the first signs that a child struggles with literacy. It will give parents honest information about how well their children are performing and engage them as partners in getting their child on track. It will give us the chance to intervene when it's most effective for the student's success and for our limited resources. Most importantly, it will help us live up to our promise to prepare our children with the skills they need to lead our state when they are adults. That day will be here sooner than we think. You have an opportunity today to create a legacy of higher expectations for our state. Please vote yes on House Bill 1238. Thank you.
Ms. Holmes, please state your name and who you represent.
Good afternoon. Let me first say what an honor it is to be speaking with you today to discuss the topic of early literacy and quality education. My name is MiDian Holmes, and I present myself to you not only as the Denver Stand Chapter Chair, but I am also a proud mother of 3 school-age children in the far northeast community. My youngest child, Lhevine, is currently a 3rd grader, and she is the reason that with passion, I speak to you in support of House Bill 1238. As stated, Lhevine is in the 3rd grade, and she has always been and continues to be an ambitious student who will tell you that she loves going to school. In her innocence, she finds herself content in just being in a classroom with her classmates and simply trusts that there is a system of leadership that will grant her with teachers that will prepare her for middle school, high school, college, and beyond. Lhevine's innocence keeps her in a happy place as it pertains to education. The reality, however, is that Lhevine, her education has been compromised, and it started very early for her. At no fault of hers or mine as her mother, each year, Lhevine's teachers have had to leave throughout the duration of her school season, so she has not had the luxury of consistency in the classroom. Throughout the Learn to Read segment of Lhevine's education, this inconsistency has caused distraction that has impacted her ability to reach her potential, and her reading skills have suffered. She has been classified as a slow reader, and as her mother, I have to continue to be very intentional in ensuring that she gets the resources that she needs to meet and eventually exceed the state reading standards. Sadly enough, throughout Devion's first 3 years of grade school, she and I were not afforded the luxury of having the school, the district, or anyone for that matter, partner with us to make a plan for her. As a parent, I never received the needed resources to make an informed decision on how to take action and intervene early for my child. The school was not raising a red flag, there were no calls made to home on behalf of Devion's struggle, and it wasn't until I requested a meeting with Devion's teachers that I was advised and made aware of the alarming news that she wasn't at grade level in reading. Let me repeat that I had to request a meeting. I am not here today in hopes that the ears listening feel sorry for my child. I am, however, here for the students that succeed my daughter and for the parents that deserve full, fast, and specific awareness on their child's education. That is why House Bill 1238 excites me. This bill outlines the READ program, which calls for a partnership between the schools, the district, the state, and the parents to make the success of each child matter. Over the course of the last year, I have witnessed some very powerful momentum in the way in which our state approaches education, ensuring quality in our schools. And I don't believe that we should become complacent. Implementation and accountability of intentional practices in the classroom are overdue, and the days of arbitrary results must cease. House Bill 1238 is the next step in bringing quality to education in Colorado. With this bill, parents will have the opportunity to engage in their child's education early. And it would seem that there is an overwhelming stigma that parents don't and or won't show up or stand up for their children on the topic of education. I sit before you today not only to negate the stigma, but to also make you two promises. The first is that if you buy into that stigma and don't support legislation that will activate our schools to enable parent awareness, I am going to be a voice outside the walls of this Capitol, and I'm going to stay wired, fired, and inspired to come back to you and bring the masses of parents who are just like me to prove that we believe in this legislation. And the second promise is that I can promise to celebrate with each of you, and most importantly, with Devion, when this bill is passed. Thank you.
Mr. Gannon.
I'm here to answer any questions if there are any.
Excellent. Members, any questions? Wow, what's going on?